Hi there, I'm Scout Wilkins. Thanks for joining me here. By now you've downloaded and hopefully been able to print out the little piece on how to hear and trust and follow your own inner wisdom, your own heart, really. And what I want to do, a couple things in this short video. One is just to set the stage for what we're doing here and the why of it. The why of it really is pretty simple. It's you know how great it feels to be around a person who is what you might call comfortable in their own skin. Someone who knows who they are, knows what they want, they're comfortable with how they're moving through their lives. There's no illusion of being perfect. There's no illusion of being able to be perfect. They're at peace. And what that peace is really is they're at peace between their head and their heart. They have managed to put down a lot of the judgments, the shoulds and the can'ts and the measuring ups, and they're okay. They're not being epic, they're not being perfect, they're not being doormats, they're just being themselves. And to me, that's what I aspire to, more and more of that peace, of just being fine, just being fine. And that's really been the trajectory of my life, is having been in that place early on, been significantly out of that place as I moved through later years. And then about 10 years ago, just reaching the end of any toleration for all the shoulds and can'ts, and for not being able to do what I wanted to do and be who I knew myself to be. And so I changed course and started on the journey that this piece that you've just downloaded is the current iteration of what I've learned. And it's about how to become more and more of that person who's comfortable in your own skin, fine with who you are. So the biggest piece to that is the whole safety piece, right? I mean, it is a conflict between your heart that dreams and yearns and sees possibility and wants to feel so great, wants connection, and your head, especially your reptilian brain that fears it, fears connection, fears losing yourself, fears a lot of things. And so this is about coming to peace between those two. And the thing is, at this stage in our evolution, I think we're in the process of moving past this right now. There's no doubt in my mind. But we're definitely very thickly in the mix of doing it. And what we're in the mix of doing is dealing with that deep unconscious fear, that knee-jerk reactive fear that stops you from reaching out and doing the scary things that your evolutionary self wants to do. And I know that we are in the process of really coming to a profound cultural peace with this. And it's going to be great. And right now it's pretty messy. So it's about doing it ourselves. And a big piece of it is about getting permission from ourselves to make these changes, to be this comfortable. There's a part of ourselves that is just not comfortable going against the grain, not caring anymore what people think, not in an uncompassionate way, but just not letting what other people think drive our choices about who we know ourselves to be. And so what I want to do with this recording, you can read all this stuff, I've put all this in written words here. What I want to do with my voice, because it's the element that lets you let go of the thinking and the reading. You can close your eyes and you can listen, and I can help you go past that gatekeeper that says, don't go there. It's not safe. It's not safe to ask those questions, and I'm going to put up a smoke screen and hide the answers from you. You know, we'll just move past that gatekeeper. Not that hard to do. You can actually do a little bit of pretending and put yourself in a deeply hypnotic place, because all hypnosis is the suspension of your critical faculty. That deep skepticism says, no, that's not real. So we let more be real when you can imagine and pretend. And so I just want you to imagine that for the purpose of this conversation, I just want you to imagine having a conversation with your beautiful brain, your mind, that part of you that is so connected to keeping you safe. It's a very important role. It's a very important role. We definitely want to appreciate that. And it's just not the conversation we're having right now. So we're just going to ask it with all respect and love to just sit aside and let this other conversation happen. And then what we want to do is turn and see your heart. Imagine your heart. Imagine if your heart could actually come into the room here with you. Your heart that really knows you. Your heart that is so very powerful. So very powerful. It has been beating and will continue beating all your life without you doing a thing. I mean, yeah, you feed it and you exercise it. Sometimes you love it, sometimes you beat it up. The thing about our hearts, they're amazingly resilient. Amazingly resilient. We have a story that our hearts may be weak. It's actually our brain story that it needs to protect our heart. But when you actually look at that heart, you can see it's been through a lot of stuff, and it will be through a lot more. And it's really far more resilient than most of us give it credit for. So I want to start off by really appreciating your heart. I'm going to ask you to imagine that you can see your heart there in the room with you. Look at that. See where it chooses to be when it comes into the room with you, and just appreciate the heck out of it. Just love it and thank it, because it continues to show up no matter what. Your heart is great. It's powerful, loving, strong, resilient. So really, you know, the key to the process that we're engaged in right now, this process is designed to help you answer perhaps a specific question that has come up that you want some inner guidance around, some inner wisdom. You want to know what you really want around something. So what I've found is the way to approach that is sort of more gently, more globally, instead of honing in on very specifics. Sit quietly with your heart and first get clear on your intention for even having this conversation. What is your intention? What is it that you want? And this really, it's useful if you can have a single word intention and bring it down to the essence of what you want. Maybe peace, maybe joy, it may be productivity. I don't know what it is for you in this moment. You're the one who knows. What is your intention for this conversation you're having with your heart. Get clear. Write that down. And then just feel for how your heart feels, how your body feels. Feel the sensations in your body when you hold that intention, when you state that intention. It may be a big, scary intention. There may be some fear. There may be some aversion. There may be a risk there that part of you is scared of. Just notice. Just notice the feelings in your body. Notice if there's tension. It's just an awareness. Just notice what's going on in your body. And if there is tension, if there's fear, if there's anything that feels closed and clenching, just breathe into it. Just breathe into it. Bring it oxygen. Help it open. This whole conversation with your heart is not about thoughts and words. It's about feelings. And it's about being as open as you can. Just picture like a hose. Being open with the flow moving through. And now, just feel into what you would love to have be true for yourself around this intention at the end of today. What would you love to have be true? What would make your heart happy? And feel that in your body. Imagine that being true at the end of the day, and just really go into the feelings that that creates. Notice. Notice where you feel. Do you feel warm? Do you feel open? Do you feel sparkly? How does it feel? And then think and feel what you would like to have be true around this intention at the end of the week. Imagine that. Imagine a scene where that's actually true. And just feel that. And then you can ask yourself, what would I love to have be true about this at the end of the month? You can divide this up in whatever chunks of time you want. The end of the month, the end of the year, the end of 5 years. What would you like to have be true about this intention at the end of your life? And just feel the opening that this creates. This way of asking the question has a tendency to really create an open feeling, a curiosity, a welcoming, an allowing. There's no push to this. It's just a feeling into what would I love to have be true around this intention at the end of my life. And now with this good feeling that this creates, just sit and you can notice the images that have come up. You can notice, you can work backwards from those. What had to be true? What had to happen just before that for that image to be true? And what had to happen just before that? And just before that, what was the sequence of events and actions that made all this true? And as you follow that sort of string of breadcrumbs, back to the present, what's the next small action that is available for you to take in this moment and this afternoon? Will you take that action? Here's the deal with talking to your heart. It's ready to speak to you. It also likely has a history of being pushed down, ignored, not checked in with. It's just not, in this culture of ours, it's not where we tend to go all that natively. So it's a new practice, it's a new skill, and it needs some trust because your heart is not, it's not used to you listening and acting necessarily. It may be, you may be really good at this. But if you haven't been in this habit, especially of taking action, it's really important to demonstrate to yourself and to your heart that you will take this action, because that's where the fear is. The fear is in actually stepping up and doing the scary thing. You can think about it, you can process, you can do all this stuff, and at the end of the day, actually stepping up and shooting the video, being on the stage, writing the book, having that difficult conversation, whatever the action is, it's there to be taken. And so doing the inner work is a beautiful place to start. Connect with your heart, get really clear on the intention and the desire in your heart. The action becomes, it'll almost do itself when you get really clear and loving about it. And it's very important to take the action because that's where you demonstrate your courage. That's where you're not talking about it anymore, you're out doing it. And it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be epic. A small action in the direction of where you want to go it's all there ever is. It's all just small steps. You may not think that it matters unless it's a great big step, but every great big step is a compilation of small steps. So be ready to take the smallest little step. Just make sure you do take an action, because that's how you demonstrate to yourself that you've moved up on the scale of courage and you are listening to your heart, and your heart will feel that. Your heart will respond and it will give you more information. The more you act on what you receive, the more you will receive. And so I hope this helps. The other thing I would like to say, I said this in the writing I did, is that there are a few different ways that it can be very difficult to go as deep as you want to go by yourself, because you have belief systems in place, you have assumptions, you have blind spots, you have denial. And, I like to talk a little bit about denial. I have a lot of experience with denial, and I used to think that it was a state of being where you were sort of pretending. You knew it was there, but you were really avoiding it or pretending it wasn't there. When you're in denial, that's not it at all. When you're in denial, that information is not accessible. It is a blind spot. If you have ever been driving and you look and there's a car right there and you don't see it because of, that piece on your car that just completely blocked it. You didn't know that car was there. You pull out right in front of it. You have a very near miss. That's what happens. In denial, you don't see it. It's not there. Other people may not be able to even believe that you don't know. It's like you're ignoring something. It's just not accessible. That information is not on the table. It is a true blind spot. And so if you want to make changes in your life, if you want things to be different than they are, it takes having somebody help you find your blind spots. Now, this somebody may be somebody you actually go to. It may be somebody like me that says, okay, let's sit down. I've got a way to do this, and we can move through this really quickly with great safety. And you may find your blind spots in a relationship, and you may find them over and over again, and you may see them or not. And yeah, there are a lot of ways to find your blind spots. Sometimes it's by getting in that accident. It's what I do. It's what I do. I help people find and navigate the blind spots, the assumptions, the ways that it's crazy. You know, we want to be happy and moving forward. We want to be flying. We want to be a part of the solution. And yet we have very deep, predictable ways that our belief systems and our fears keep us from going there. It's why we help each other. It's why we have each other. So if you would like help with that, I offer a discovery session where we actually do this same sort of pretending. We will really lay out what it is you want. We will have a conversation where you will, with the part that says you can't have that. And we'll find out why. We'll find out what the conversation is going on inside. It's not something that I don't know what's inside you, but I can draw it out, and I can set it up so that you hear clearly from yourself what it is that is stopping you from being that comfortable in your own skin, amazing person. And then we'll just talk about what it is to get around that, to move through that. So if you want to do that, you can just go to the products and services tab, and you'll find the discovery session. I love doing those. It's actually a free service I offer. Other than that, moving through these pieces, my intention here is to give you a tool that you can use on any question you have, any frustration, any expansion, any contraction. What I want to offer here is a way to help you access your own inner wisdom. And I hope it serves. Thank you.